Hello, welcome to this video. So this video would be part 10 in us trying to solve the mystery of the Langrenus 2021-14. We know we posted the new video, we looked at that. We actually tried to scroll down a bit to see if he replies to any comments. But we were scrolling down, we didn't see his name pop up. I don't think he posted anything, I don't think he replies to any comments or anything. It's just so many people are posting comments to it. It's kind of hard to see if he actually posted anything, right? I don't think he ever says anything. He never said anything in the stream. But that's not what this video is about. This video was mainly about trying to figure out why does the ground look like this? And when we actually woke up in the morning, we looked at the ceiling in our room, and we had a small light on in our room that was actually left on, so it was lit up a little bit. And when we looked at the ceiling, it looked exactly like the ground did in this video footage. Then we realized, because we know that it's dark out, right? So we know we could look at the moon phases. When the Apollo missions was out there from the 11th to the 14th, the sun was constantly out. Because as we know, the sun stays up in the sky for 14 days, and then it's gone for 14 days. So you're going to see the sun for 2 weeks, and then you won't see the sun for 2 weeks. The interesting thing about when the Langrenus stream was happening, it was happening when there was no sun out, right? So when he was filming during here, there was no sun for the entire time that he was filming, but on the 15th there was a sunrise. We see there actually was a sunrise, so we actually found that even lined up, right? So the entire time he's filming, there's no sun. It's really dark out there, and if you look at the ground here, there's no sun. It's really dark. Well, we did some experiments. We went outside, we filmed the ground in the dark, and it looked exactly like this. We had to zoom in, but if we go here, so another interesting thing in this video, which is called, something that happened on the Langrenus stream. If you go to that video on YouTube, this is the only video where we ever found this happening. And this even has camera focusing, right? The camera was focusing on the dark when we were doing our experiments outside. Our camera was focusing in on the dark. So this camera does the same thing, like it actually really is being filmed by an actual camera, right? So let's press the play button. If we go here, he goes to settings, and we can see the quality options that he's streaming in, right? So important fact to notice, you can click up to 720p, but he's also live streaming from the moon, right? Even if you're live streaming from Earth, it can get pixelated and blurry. Like, we're going to show you one of our live streams. We did a live stream, and our live stream was pixelated and blurry, and we even did a live stream from Earth, right? So if you're doing a live stream from the moon, you have to go to a lower video quality. Like if we look at the Apollo missions, like he doesn't actually change it to high quality or anything, but if we were to look at that, we see most of the videos are in 360p or 480p, probably 360p, right? If we hover over this, Langrenus 2021 360p, 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 360p. All of these videos are in 360p, which lines, this one's in 480, right? So it lines up with the Apollo quality. This one's in 480. So most of them are like 480 or 360p. And if we go to the Apollo missions, the Apollo, they live streamed there as well. They did like 360p and 480p. So when Apollo 17 was doing their live stream in 1972, December 1972, from the 11th to the 14th, they were live streaming from the moon in 360p, 480p. So they couldn't go higher than that, probably because of the bandwidth problem. So as you see, all these Langrenus videos, they're in 360p and 480p, and the Apollo missions are in 360p and 480p. So that lines up, right? Everything lines up about that, except that the Apollo was filming during the day. Now imagine if we went outside and we filmed during the day, it would look a lot more like this. But because we filmed during the night, actually it looks exactly like this. So the next point that we were going to do about this video is if we press the play button. If we notice, the ground looks like this, right? The ground looks exactly like this in the video that I shot outside as well, right? I shot video footage of it. But if we look, the camera is going to refocus at some point when he raises it. We actually did notice that. We're looking at this. When he raises the camera at some point, or is it even, when he raises it, it has to refocus. I think it was over here in this part here. I think he moves the camera up and it refocuses for a split second. We're not sure if we're going to be able to find it again, right? It was up when it was near the top of them. Maybe it was earlier before. We did find it. Right here. Hey, look at this. So he's bringing the camera. Look at the camera focus again. So he has the camera down here. Then he puts his hand in front of it. So we can see maybe the little light that's coming off the ground is actually reflecting off of his white glove, right? The only time that we ever see light is when his glove goes in front of this, which his glove might be a white glove that's maybe reflecting the little tiny bit of light that he has up there, right? Yeah, you can see it just lights up because the reflection from his glove, and then it goes back to normal. But then the next part, where the camera focuses in here, we're going to actually make it bigger, right? Once you figure out where it does it, I think right there. But I think right here, right? Here's the camera. If we look, if we move it slowly, it goes out of focus. Then it goes back in focus, and I think it does it again. Yeah, right here, right? If you look at that, the camera's going out of focus right there. You can see how blurry it's going. You can see how clear it looked right here. Looks super clear. And then the camera goes out of focus, and it goes really blurry at the top. And then it goes back in focus, and it's clear again. So the camera has to refocus when he moves the camera up, right? He just moves it up, then the camera has to refocus. So just press the play button, right? Watch that in real time. Here's the camera. It's playing right now. It's going to have to refocus in a few seconds here, right? It'll go really blurry at the top. We're watching it in real time here. So it's going blurry right there, right? It's out of focus. It's really blurry right now. And then it has to go back in focus. Now it's in focus again, right? Everything's so clear. You can see everything clear now. And then it's going to go out of focus again when he moves the camera, right? He just moved the camera slightly, and look how blurry it is right now. So that's something we noticed. When he moves the camera, it goes out of focus, it goes blurry, then it goes into focus. Like, actually has to focus on something, like when we did our experiments when we recorded something outside. So look at that, right? If we look at the ground, it's really out of focus again, right? Even again. So it does it multiple times in this video. He's zooming in. He's trying to focus on everything. We can tell his camera is zoomed in because of the way the ground looks. So maybe, should we go to our videos? Let's just look at this a little bit more, right? We'll look at his ground, and then we'll go to my experiments, right? So here's what the ground looks like. The reason it looks like this is because he's filming in a very dark area, and the camera is zoomed in. So he figured it out. It looks like this because he's filming in a dark area and the camera is zoomed in. So let's go to our footage, right? Even it looks like here, right? If you see, he's zoomed in and it's really dark. So let's go look at our experiments. We start from the beginning. So what we started with was inside the house. So we go through here. So that's not the beginning. Why did it freeze? Why did it freeze like that? It has to load up. We have to wait for the cache to clear. We'll pause it. Alright, we're back. So something that we did, we just went to our kitchen. We recorded all this in 460p. We recorded it in 460p just so it'd be the same resolution, right? So here's in the dark. We can see on the ground. See how the ground starts to look a little bit like that? Except we weren't zoomed in at this point, right? So that was our first experiment. We went upstairs. We're like, what does the ground look like in the dark? And then we came here to this box in the basement. We realized when we turned off the light, actually it looked a lot like the picture, right? So if we have this box here, we have this box. It's bright, right? We can clearly make out it. We can see everything about it. That's clearly a box. When we zoom in, even when we zoom in during the day, it gets pixelated, right? Watch this. Look how pixelated it gets when we zoom in, even during the day, right? So just with the act of zooming in your camera creates this pixelization, just like it looked like on the ground, right? The box looks just like on the ground. So we do actually go outside later. This is just the first part of the experiment. We're just looking at this box. We can still clearly actually make it out. But when we go upstairs, turn off the light. For some reason, it was darker than it appeared before we hit the record button. But if we look at the box, you can still kind of make out the box. You can barely see it. I imagine there was more light when he was recording it, but we do better experiments, right? This was just the first one. This was the failed experiment. That was the failed experiment because we couldn't even see the box. And something we noticed, if you actually had a flash on, if you put on flash, you'd actually be able to see everything clearly, right? So if you had flash on, we would actually have been able to see something out there. So let's just go to part 2 of the experiment, right? So we have this box inside a room here. We can clearly see it's a box. We can clearly see that. And then when we turn off the light, and then we just have our light from our computer, right? Look how pixelated the box looks. Where are we looking at the box? Look how pixelated the box starts to look like, right? It starts to do that same grainy thing, even at the top there. So I don't think we're zoomed in yet. But as you can see, just because it's darker in this place, we can't really make out the box as well. And it's creating that static noise that we see in the Langrenus footage, right? It's starting to create that static just simply because it's dark. Simply because it's dark, it's starting to look like that. If we were to zoom in, it actually starts to look exactly like the ground in the Langrenus footage, right? So you can do this experiment in your home. You just have to get a box, maybe get a computer screen to light up the room a little bit, right? Even not zoomed in, it's blurry, but as soon as you zoom in, it starts to get blurry. Look at that wall right there, right? If you look at that wall, the wall starts to look exactly like that. Even this down here, right? You can start to see the static. You look up at the ceiling, you can look up at the games, you can look at the blanket. There's even a static over at the blanket over there, right? So the wall looks really staticky. So here's the box here. Here's the box. If we're zoomed in, it starts to do that static effect, right? As soon as we zoom in more, the static effect happens more, and then the exact same thing that we see on the ground in the videos happens, right? This is just the box. This is before we go outside. If you look at the games up there, looks like there's a whole bunch of static. And I think we're actually, no, we're not outside yet. But even if we look around the room, right? Everywhere in the room, just because it's dark and we're zoomed in, right? Just the fact that it's dark in the area and we zoomed in, it creates this static effect everywhere. If we were to zoom in during the day, it wouldn't be as bad, right? But it's amplified by the fact that it's dark out there. So we got this, right? We got this box out. We got this box. Looks perfectly fine, right? We see it perfectly fine during the day. Everything we're looking at, you don't even see that static. You don't see that static at all during the day. Maybe zoomed in there. So this looks like the Apollo mission when you're zoomed in, right? That's what it looks like during the day when it's zoomed in. So that's exactly what the Apollo mission footage looks like when it's zoomed in. If we look up here, we can see like the games up here. You can clearly make out the games. If you zoom in, you can clearly make out the games, right? The static effect isn't nearly as bad. The only reason it looks like that is because of the dark. Up here, right? In the dark corner, look how different it looks. When it's out in the brighter areas, you can still see the static, but it's not as bad, right? We start to look at the wall up there, start to look at the box up here. So this is being filmed during the day. And when we film it, when we turn off the light, see, first, I think we turn off the light pretty soon here, right? We're supposed to turn off the light pretty soon. I guess we're zoomed in. I guess we're still showing stuff during the day. So if it's zoomed in during the day, it even creates this static effect, right? So it's 100% because he's zoomed in that it looks like that. The reason it looks like that, all that noise and the static that we see in the video, is because he's zoomed in. He's zoomed in, yep. If you zoom out, it looks normal, right? So when are we going to go to the, or what's the next clips? So we did that. We looked at the box. We looked at everything there. I guess we turned off the light. So maybe we should go outside now, right? Maybe we'll go outside pretty soon. What we're looking at is in the dark. It looks like a completely different place, right? Looks like a completely different place in the dark. Looks like a completely different place in the dark. That's the thing we're that's the thing we're trying to point out, right? If you're trying to film something in the day, it looks a lot different than it does in the dark. So this would be look exactly like the landscape does, right? We can even record this edge of the box and say we're on the moon. So you could literally take a cardboard box, record the cardboard box, and there'd be a shadow up there, and you could say you're filmed for the moon, right? You could actually do that. Look how close this looks to the Langrenus footage. Just filming the bottom of this cardboard box here, right? Just filming the bottom of a cardboard box. You can do the same thing. Yeah, I guess we turn on the light and we compare it, right? So that's so crazy. Just with a cardboard box, even you could fake the moon. I think, right? We can zoom in. Like we're recording on the moon. Here's the moon's surface, and when we turn on the light, you can completely tell it's a box. It's a completely different picture, right? When the sun's coming out, this is what the Apollo mission looks like all the time because it's so clear because it's day out. But when he's filming, because it's night out, it looks completely different. So we're going outside now. So I think we have this entire clip. We'll just go to the end where we found like the best parts and got them all together, I think. Then we got everything together somewhere. Where does it start? Here's where this starts. So if we're outside here, we're trying to film outside in the dark, right? We actually went outside. We're like, the box experiment did show us everything. So it showed us that if we're outside, it's dark outside, and we're zoomed in, the ground looks like this, right? This is what the ground looks like in a dark area when your camera is zoomed in. Exactly like it did in the Langrenus footage, right? Exactly like it did. Look at the background. Look at those hills. Those hills have the exact same static that he did in the video, right? So if you put this side by side his video, if there wasn't the basketball poster, you would think it was being broadcast from the moon, right? Look at that. Look at the hills in the back, and compare these hills in the back to the footage of the hills in the back of the Langrenus footage, right? The reason it's like that is because we're in a dark area. I wonder if around where he is maybe lit up a bit for some reason, but not too much. I wonder if he has like some type of light beside him, right? Wonder if he has some little type of way to light it up. But if you look on the ground, it looks exactly like his ground, right? We did this experiment too. Went to a road, and then we zoomed in on the road. And as we zoom in on the road, it creates this nighttime static effect, right? So it looks just like it did like the box at nighttime. Everything in the back looks pixelated. The ground's pixelated because we're viewing in the dark, and we're zoomed in, right? And because it's at a 480p. And because it's at 480p. So everything all together makes this footage look exactly like the Lakers footage, right? When he's angling the camera down, it looks like this. This is what it looks like when he's angling the camera down. We did that. This is what it looked like if he was zoomed out. But once you zoom in, it creates this effect, right? So as soon as you zoom in the dark, it makes it look like this. So that was our realization, right? We weren't happy with the box experiment. We wanted to see what it actually looks like outside if you actually film with the ground. And this is what it looked like. This is what we just went outside to film like an hour ago, right? And then if we're looking at the ground here, we can see. You see, it's almost similar to here, right? We look at the ground as if we're like walking for a little bit. So it's really lit up here. It's really lit up just because of the light. But the same concept. The darker areas look more grainy than the lighter areas, right? Harder to make out. So if we were like this, it might look like some part of his footage. That's the super sick thing. we know there's no sun out there. So he'd be filming in a dark spot, and he'd be zoomed in, and it would look exactly like this. Here's like as if we were filming the ground, right? If we were filming the ground moving a bit, I think we're actually on the bike. This could be kind of like the footage that he was filming when he was filming on the ground. It could have still been zoomed in, right? And as we look over here, we're zoomed in the dark looking at it. You can barely make out the ground because it has all that static noise that we created. I think if there's like absolutely nothing along the top, like if it was a pure pitch black background along the top, there might not even be any static. There's static down here because there's stuff down there, right? This is what it looks like zoomed out, right? Then we zoom back in And then it just gets really staticky as soon as we zoom in. I think we have a bit more at the end, right? How much more do we have? So we looked at a whole bunch of footage outside. We've seen how it could look like his. I guess there's not too much more. It was just about to go to the next clip. So here's what this looks like, right? We're zoomed in. We're looking at the hills in the background. If there wasn't trees there, and if it was just a pure black there, it would look exactly the same as the Langrenus footage, right? And we can even take like this video, put it beside another video, right? If we're looking over here, we're looking down at the cement, the road. That's the same pixelation, like static across the entire image. Across the entire video, it looks like that. So if we go to the next part, right, over here, we just went to a few different areas that we just tried to film just to get a good general idea of what it looks like in different areas of the place, right? So it even looks like there's like craters here, right? That might be a crater right there. Maybe that's a crater right there. So even though there's no craters here, this is just a road. Maybe there's holes in the road. But over here, it looked like the same thing, right? We say there's like a crater right there. There's a crater there. There's a crater. There's maybe a rock right there. But we can't tell because it's so static and pixelated because it's dark out and we're zoomed in on the picture, right? But if we're looking at this, or say this was filmed on the moon, we probably think that was a crater there. I think we see like better pictures of it, right? So if we're on the ground and we're walking, we're on the bike, so it's going a little bit quicker probably. But if you look over here, the hills pretty much look exactly the same as his did, except that there's more light in this picture, right? It was really dark, so I guess it would look a bit different in his. But it's the same concept. The ground looks exactly like it does in his picture, right? These hills up here, they have the same static noise up there. I think that we did like one more clip of zoom. Oh no, that's it. Yeah. So if we're looking at his videos now, right? If we're looking at these, we see the exact same static noise on the ground, right? So you can say if it's dark at night, you're zoomed in, you'd see the static on the ground, just pretty much exactly like the static looked at our video, except this would be amplified more because it's darker in this place, right? When we were filming, there was street lights out there, so it would have been more lit up. So this area, the static is just amplified more because it's darker, right? So it looks exactly like the footage that we just showed you. If you look here, it's focusing in just like our camera did at one point, right? So we zoomed in somewhere, the camera had to focus in, and when we did that, it looked exactly like this did. It looked exactly like this. The camera had to focus in when we zoomed in. So we must have zoomed in a little bit more. Maybe he zoomed out a bit more. Maybe he's trying to get the camera to focus or something, but that's another interesting point, right? The camera has to actually refocus. And it's so dark that it creates that picture, right? So here's this thing. We could even like line up one of our pictures, look at the ground beside it probably. And it would probably almost look similar, right? Almost look similar to it. So let's just look at this one here. There's also something interesting we've seen in a bunch of other things. I think we read something. Yeah, if you look here, I guess that's the same clip as the one that we just showed, right? So if you look here, it's even darker. It's even darker. So you look at the ground, and the ground is just so staticky because it's so dark, right? Just like the edge of our box looked. Just like the edge of our box, the box experiment. It almost looks like the edge of our cardboard box in the cardboard box experiment, right? The exact same thing. It's just the darker it gets, the more pixelated it gets. Like this part right here. So he's not using a filter or anything, right? I'm pretty sure he's not using a filter. So this is what it actually looked like. If he's sitting here filming this in the dark, zoomed in, and he's not moving the camera, right? It's more still that we keep it. You can still see the pixelization like that, right? It almost looks exactly the same. That one looks a little bit different, but I think we put the saturation up on this one, so we look at this one, right? Yeah, over here. So we want to look at this part here, right? This part over here. We had to turn up the saturation to see stuff, but he doesn't have any filter, and the ground is doing the same thing, right? The ground is doing the exact same thing. Over here too, right? This one. Crowd's doing the same thing. It's not doing it as much. It's not doing it as much because it's probably getting brighter. Because this is maybe like getting close to the end, right? There's the mass emissions. There's how they look different. So we're gonna go here. Here's like the very last footage that he broadcast, right? You see how clear that looks compared to the other stuff. You can see how much clearer it's going towards Sol Day 4 and Sol Day 5. I think the reason this is here because they named the video Sol 5. This was a new video clip we found, right? This was a new video clip we found. This is actually a Sol Day 5, which would be right here, May 2020th on the 15th, when the sun was just rising. And here is where we actually get the sunrise, right? The very last day, we can see it's brighter, it's less pixelated, because it's brighter, right? Just like the cardboard box looked during the day. Just like the cardboard box looked during the day. Before it looked more pixelated because it was darker out. But now at this point, the sun's coming over the horizon. We can even see the sunrise there, right? We can even see the sunrise on the top of the planet. We can even see it, right? Pretty sure we should be able to actually see it in this picture, right? If you go here, put the exposure all the way up, it should be lit up a bunch of different colors. Yeah, there's the sunrise. You don't actually see the sunrise in any of his other videos, right? If you do this, you don't see the sunrise in any of his other videos because there is no sun. But if you light up this with the Apollo videos, this is what it looks like because there is the sun right there. There's the sunrise. There's the sunrise. If we go here, right? Here is his final clip. So you probably actually be able to see it clearly, right? Because if we look here, this is his very final clip, Sol Day 5, the last one before he ended the stream. The very last one before he ended it. If we were to look, there's no pixelization like the cardboard box during the day, right? We can see how bright it is. The sun is just coming up at this point. The sun was down the entire time, the entire like 14 days before it. But at this point, the sun is just coming up, right? Right? The entire time he's streaming from May 5th, May 6th, May 7th. I think he was streaming for those 3 days, a little bit of May 8th. He was streaming on these days, and then his stream restarted on the 11th again. So there's no sun until the 15th, until the very last day. Which always brought us to this, right? So let's try to put the effects here. I imagine you'd be able to see the sunrise. Imagine you'd be able to see it, right? Look how bright it is, right? There's the sunrise right there. You can clearly tell it's even brighter than the other one, right? Here's from the day before. Here's this day. It's even brighter than it was, right? Even if we like go to the very beginning, right? Go to one of his earlier broadcasts. This does that have a filter on it? Not sure. So let's go here. Exposure. Add the edge detection. I haven't actually tried it. Hopefully it doesn't come. Yeah, see, look at this. Here's what it looks like during this time, right? There is no sun. There is no sun. You don't see the sunrise. You don't see the sunrise in this video. Because the sun's not up. This is just on a Sol Day 3, right? This is Sol Day 3. You don't see the bright horizon. You don't see the sunrise coming up. You don't see that. You did even if we go earlier, right? On like May 11th when he was streaming, it would be like a Sol Day 1, right? If we were to go here, go do the effects. So this is like earlier, this might be like a Sol Day 2 or Sol Day 3. Edge detect. Put the saturation up. There will be no sun. There is no sun, right? Well, I guess there is, right? We never checked his earlier videos, but is this actually from like what it says it is, right? Do we have any reference in this video what it is? So this could actually be in Sol Day 5, right? It could just be mislabeled. Could just be mislabeled. But all the other videos, if we go here, some of the videos could be mislabeled, right? But if we go to this one, if we do the same thing here, we don't see it, right? We don't see the sunrise. We don't see the sunrise is good, right? But he has that filter on, so that's not a good example clip to do it on. Maybe this one, right? If we were to do it here, Let's just try that, right? So I think this clip is from earlier. We go here. If we see if we can find it. Yeah, it looks different in this video for some reason, right? You don't really see the line as bright. You don't see all the colors of the sky too, right? Yeah, you don't see the colors of the sky. The main thing too is that the blocks change colors, right? These are all gray or white. These are all black and white. They're all black and white. You can definitely see them a lot better near the end, right? Near the final stream. So where's all these clips? So I wonder if this is actually like Soul Day 5 then, right? That would be Soul Day 5. I think we have a clip near the end that we had that looks exactly like that, right? Here we don't even see any colors or anything. If we go like here. Wonder what this would look like, right? Then we have edge detection. Add edge detect. Yeah, there we go. There's no filter on it, right? You see the sun? The sun's not even up in this picture, right? It's a lot darker than this. Right here. He doesn't have the filter on, so this is exactly what this would look like, right? If you look at the top, look at the horizon. There's no sun, right? There's no sunrise. And in the bottom, right? There's no sunrise in this picture. There's no sunrise in that one. Go over here, right? That could just be the colors code for the Earth, right? Maybe that's the light code for the Earth at that point. Maybe that's something. Maybe the Earth emits a little bit of light on the surface too, right? Because you know that the Earth might actually cast some light. Earth might actually cast some light back onto the moon, so it can actually see something. So we're looking at it here might actually be coming from the Earth, right? Maybe that's just the Earth light coming over the horizon. That's why it's not as bright and pronounced near the end of the last video, right? In the last video, it's so bright, it's so pronounced, you can actually make out the ground exactly what it looks like at the end of the video, right? Right there, right? Compared to the other videos, this is so much brighter up here. So much brighter up there. So much brighter up there. So I think we will end the video soon, right? I think this was just us realizing that it actually does look like that in the dark if you film it, right? Then we just started talking about the sunrise coming up on the 5th day again, right? You don't see the sunrise as much. If we look at here, the ground's pixelated, and we know why it's pixelated. It's pixelated because it's dark out there, right? Because it's so dark. It's so dark. He's filming it when it's so dark out there. That creates that static effect, right? Let's just look at my video examples here again quick, right? This like, here's what our box looked like. I looked at a bunch of his stuff, right? That's what his videos look like. If we look at our cardboard box, or even if we look like outside at some clips or something. If we look at like could find something that looks kind of like it, right? It's just we're always moving the camera so much in all the footage, right? We're always moving the camera so much. I guess the cardboard box was a good example, right? Because it's dark. Here's the cardboard box example. Because it's dark, because we're zoomed in on the box, it creates this static effect, right? Just like it does in his videos. And then when it gets too bright, you can see the ground better. So this looks exactly like his video, right? If we had that, we were saying we're filming from the moon, from that little clip there. If we just had like this on repeat or something, this right here, creates the exact same effect just because it's dark, right? When we turn on the light, it doesn't do that. It doesn't actually do that when you turn on the light, right? It's only when it's dark. It's the only time that happens. So I wonder if you should like read this thing at this point, right? If you found something interesting on this page here, it's French. If you were to go to translate it to English, it might tell you a whole bunch of things about the space station, the Langrenus channel. But something that we found out, this just tells you everything that everyone says. But if you go to the next page here, click on that button, right? If you were here, if you were to go scroll down to the bottom and say continue reading, this is where it gets interesting, right? If you were to translate this page. So I don't know how credible this is or where it came from. I haven't been able to find any other reference of it so far, but I've just been searching for Langrenus stuff. But it says, the most surprising thing is that some astronomers who have seen a certain part of the video have said that exactly this is what a moon transmission would look like, exactly from the Langrenus crater. We really cannot believe that it is a transmission from the moon. So I don't know how credible that is. I don't know who wrote this article. I don't know who the astronomers were. Oh, it says astronomers looked at it. Oh, okay. So what if some astronomers looked at it and they said that this is exactly what it would look like if you were broadcasting from the moon from the Langrenus crater, and the astronomers can't even believe that it's actually a transmission from the moon, right? So even astronomers believe it, and because we did this light-dark experiment, we even believe it now, right? Here's what it looks like during the day. There's what the box looks like during the night. With the box experiment, box during the day looks like that. So we'll just do that. We'll end the video pretty soon. We read that. So if we're doing the box experiment during the day, during the night, yeah, even the background looks like that, right? If we're looking at a box, it could look like that. Just like the ground does in his video, right? Just because it's dark. Just because it's dark out there. Alright, we might have to add this to the end or something, right? So we were going to tell you about the broadcasting, right? When you're streaming, if you have a bad connection. So this is a stream we did. This was like our first stream we did, just with the default settings, I think. You have to increase the bit rate. But if we're just looking at this, we just play the video, and as we watch it, we'll notice that it actually gets pixelated, right? If we were to record this, just recording it, it would look absolutely perfect in 1080p. But the fact that we're live streaming this, we're just live streaming this on Earth, right? But for the moon, you'd have to send it a lot better, right? It would probably come out more pixelated just because it's coming from the moon and the connection wouldn't be as good. But if you look around, everything's getting so blurry and everything's so pixelated simply because we're live streaming this, right? Just because it's not recorded. Simply because we're live streaming it and it's not having a good rate, it's not having a good time pulling everything together. It's actually really blurry, right? So that was something we wanted to show. Show if you're like live streaming, the video quality can go down a lot simply because it's a live stream. Simply because it's a live stream, it looks absolutely terrible, right? It's supposed to be a 1080p video, right?